A very good morning, guys, and I hope you're all having an amazing London session. In today's market outlook, of course, the dollar index and the major dollar pairs. So starting off with the dollar index pushed up higher pretty much throughout the entire week. We've kind of been ranging here on the dollar until yesterday New York session. We saw a big strong push in towards the highs, broke through this supply zone which we mentioned yesterday. As we can clearly see, yesterday's supply zone held beautifully strong push down, was kind of focusing on targeting this sell before the buy candle over here where there was some demand. However, price just started to liquidate or decided to liquidate the lows and pretty much the range which we had formed on the lower time frame, because overall on the lower time frame we can clearly see that this is your range high, this was our range low, just ranging throughout the entire week, took out the low and then reversed back up in towards the highs. So for now, what I'm looking for on the dollar index is a potential move down once again. What I'm looking for is pretty much this sell over here before the buy to get tapped into, then a further push up in towards this refined area of supply number 1 or this higher supply zone number 2. And then from there, of course, wait the reaction, see do we get that change of character, and then look for that sell-off back down in towards the downside. So that's it for the dollar index, looking for short-term downside before a potential push up higher in towards those higher areas of supply. Of course, the price from an internal structure perspective is bullish now, like this. So until this low goes, then we are still looking to trade the dollar index up higher. However, if let's say we push down in towards this demand zone, we don't see this low hold, then we will have created supply, and then of course we look for further downside. But as long as this low holds over here for now, we are looking for further upside in towards this zone or this zone. So that's that on the dollar index. Moving in towards euro dollar. So euro dollar, guys, very complicated pair this week to a certain extent. Of course, we can clearly see that we've been ranging throughout the week. So strong move up, strong move down, strong move up, strong move down, strong move up, strong move down. Still located inside this area of demand. However, what I'm looking at now is pretty much this buy before the sell, which has pretty much created supply. So we could see a potential further push downwards in towards downside. However, I just want to go over one setup yesterday, because as you guys know, in yesterday's video I was looking for a potential long back up higher. But just to quickly point that trade out, I'm just going to keep it very, very short and to explain what I was looking for. So of course we had this Asia range low which had formed over here. So this, and if the tool starts loading in, I hope, this was at least our Asia range low over here. As we can clearly see, now it points out. So it was actually over here. As we can clearly see, once we take out that low, we tap in towards demand, straight away you see this bullish reaction back up in towards the highs. At this particular situation or moment in time, I was looking for a fractal break in structure. So I wanted this high over here to go. Once that high would have went, then we would have swing structure bullish and our fractal structure bullish, which would have been good for me to look for a long. However, as we can clearly see if we click on play, is that the bottom of the range gets broken first before the high of the range gets broken, meaning that there was no valid entry for myself at that point in time. So then what you want to do is just continue to look and to look and to look, and then you see, okay, another fractal low break over here, press play again, then boom, okay, fractal high break. So at this particular moment in time, this is when the swing structure starts aligning with the fractal structure. And what do I mean with fractal structure? Well, if your swing structure is bullish in towards the highs and it is a swing in towards the upside, of course, after a break of structure, you expect a pullback. However, when do you understand when that break of structure or when that pullback after the break of structure is over and we are ready to form that higher low and see that next impulse in towards the highs? That is when, ladies and gentlemen, you use fractal structure, because fractal structure is the first hill sign that we are ready to continue the trend back up in towards the highs. So what you'll see in this particular situation is that at this moment in time, when we form demand, so in this sell before the buy, which is pretty much the sell before the break of that fractal high, and you were, for example, to set your order here on this area of demand, and let me just delete these drawings because they're kind of in the way at this particular moment in time. And then what you want to do is, of course, target that 15-minute high once again, because of course you're targeting and expecting that price is going to continue bullish in towards the highs, and a new fractal high is, of course, or a new 15-minute swing high is going to be created. That's what you expect, right? You expect the trend to continue, this to be your new higher low, and then of course a new higher high to form with a break of structure. That's like the core principle of an uptrend. So what you then see is that, okay, price tags you back in, and then from that area of demand which was created, so this setup for the buy, that is where the market pushes back up in towards the highs, and ultimately hits TP here for a 1 to 3. However, for me and myself, no valid entry due to the fact that we weren't in either this demand zone or in this demand zone. If we were in there, then this would have been a valid entry for myself. But yeah, sadly, this happens. But I just wanted to point you out how you could have traded it. If, of course, you're a little bit more aggressive, then you could have still taken it. You can clearly see perfect retrace back down in towards the 50% mark. That's also where the change of character happens. So there was a very high probability setup there, but just not high probability enough for myself. And then what the market decides to do, I think it was mainly news related, still have to dive into yesterday's market, but we then saw that break of structure in towards the downside. You can see that this area of demand is ultimately what caused this wick in price and for price to push back up. But then of course the bearish momentum is extremely strong, and we just continue to kind of range for the rest of the Asia session after that New York session was over. So at the moment, what are we expecting? So ultimately, now with that 15-minute being bearish from a swing structure perspective, right? This is your high and this is now the formed low. We have not yet seen a close below this low, only a liquidity grab. This could fuel the move back up higher in towards, of course, this demand supply zone or this supply zone. From there, we can then in turn to see, okay, is price slowing down? Are we seeing changes of character to then, for example, short euro dollar one more time, down, back down, in towards the lows, and in towards, let's say, this refined area of 4-hour demand, for example, right below the 50% body candle. And then, of course, with that bearish 4-hour change of character, with this now being your 4-hour supply, and then with the 15-minute supply zones lining up inside of that 4-hour supply, that is kind of like what I'm looking for. So for now, looking for a long from here, push up in towards there. Then if we see that change of character, look for a short from there. So yeah, quite the extensive analysis on euro dollar, but I hope you guys get the point that I'm trying to make on how to trade fractal structure in combination with pretty much the rest. Moving on in towards Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar 4-hour time frame, bearish at the moment. From a fractal structure perspective, of course, swing structure is still bullish. This being your swing low, this being your swing high up above over here. Price now inside this demand zone, inside daily demand as well. Just from a daily perspective, guys, this sub for the buy in towards the highs, which took out pretty much all the highs. The only thing and the only kind of concern that I have is that this is your swing high. Did we take that high out? Yes, we did. So it seems more like just a stop loss grab, a liquidity grab, fueling the move back down, and being more kind of like a fake out than really like a break over there on the 4-hour / daily. But I mean, 4-hour swing structure is still bullish. Daily, of course, is in a very big kind of like overall structure, still bearish, but still it's like very rangy, so anything could happen. So not too much focused on the daily, more focused on the 4-hour. So the 4-hour bullish, moving towards this refined area of demand over here, this wick to the body. So that's where the market is now stalling. So now what I'm looking for pretty much is a break of this low over here, this 4-hour low, meaning that this would become your fractal high, then a push up, boom, boom. That is what I'm looking for. Very simple setup, but yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Then moving down in towards the 15. So 15-minute BOS happened yesterday over here. So 15-minute BOS. What do we expect next? Well, of course, you expect a pullback to happen, at least back up in towards, let's say, supply, wherever you want to have it. So, for example, this sub for the buy over there. So what I'm now looking for, of course, is for that clear shift in momentum over here on the 15. 15 minutes still very choppy, but what I'll be looking for, is push down, pull back, push down. So this is now your high. If that high were to go, I think that's also your 4-hour fractal high. Then look for demand to be created over here, and then we go long back up in towards this supply zone. So that's what I'm looking for on the 15-minute, and then of course not looking for any shorts as of yet from this region due to us being in 4-hour demand and also daily demand, and also being 4-hour swing bullish. Moving down in towards pound dollar. So pound dollar saw a further sell-off back down in towards this daily demand. Moving back in towards the 4-hour. The 4-hour is very similar to Aussie dollar at the moment, with this being your swing high on the fractal. I mean, this being your fractal high, this being your fractal low. So still bearish. Ultimately, what I want to see is the exact same as AUDUSD dollar, push down, and then this becomes your fractal high, and then a change, and then a long. That is what I'll be looking for. So then going in towards 15, we can of course obviously see that the 15-minute is bearish in towards the downside. Yeah, let's say this is your high, this is your low, then this becomes your high, which broke this low. So now what you want to see, of course, is after a break of structure, pull back in towards the highs. When is that pullback most likely going to happen? Well, preferably you kind of like want to see the lows over here get taken out, close below, strong impulse down, this becomes your high, break for that high, and then kind of like continue the trend back upwards in line with 4-hour swing structure from 4-hour demand and also from that daily area of demand as well. Moving on in towards NZDUSD. So NZDUSD inside the daily wicks over here still has room to move lower in towards the sell for the buy and these imbalance candles. But from a 4-hour perspective, what are we looking for? Well, from a 4-hour perspective, again, inside 4-hour demand over here. Very clearly, you can see no liquidation in the move up. What's happening, like we're getting liquidated inside of here. Yesterday, I was looking for a potential buy inside here after kind of like taking out these highs and changing into a bullish fractal structure. So then when I went into 15 yesterday, what I was looking for and looking at was of course this 15-minute, then a retracement. Then we can clearly see, okay, we kind of like pull back with this wick underneath these lows. Again, nothing really interesting for myself, just a lot of downside momentum. So wasn't really looking at NZDUSD. But yeah, that's that. So now 15-minute bearish, this low went, this is your high, this is your swing low over here. So now what you want to do is of course, if you want to, let's say, take 15-minute longs again, you would have to wait for, let's say, this 15-minute swing high to go and then the pullback. So what you want to see is like one more push down, then this becomes your swing high, take out that high and then go for that long, because then you don't have to wait so long. So that's what I'm looking for on NZDUSD. Very clear and very concise setup. So yeah, let's see if we get that. If we don't, then of course we could move down lower in towards this lower area of daily demand located over here. So that's NZDUSD. Then last of all, gold. So gold, what are we looking for? Yeah, we can see slowing down inside this entire sell for the buy. Again, if we move down lower in towards this demand zone or this demand zone, that is where I'm going to be buying from. From a 4-hour perspective, we've just pulled back, which is perfectly normal after a big impulse in towards the downside. Pull back in towards this buy before the sell. And then what happens, tap back in towards that buy before the sell, and then we start moving down again. So I'll be looking at, for example, this area over here, because yeah, pretty much this isn't fresh, or this wasn't fresh over here. This over here, this sell before the buy wasn't fresh because it already got wicked into. So this is your only fresh area pretty much. So waiting for the downside on gold before we look for any potential long. So guys, that's that on gold and the rest of the pairs. So thank you so much for tuning in once again. Wish you all a fantastic day. Make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description down below. And yeah, speak soon. Thanks guys.